Guys, this is Wes Smith and I'm the Portrait Dude, and I'm coming at you today to give you a tutorial on how to make your images pop. Had a couple different options that I threw out there on my Facebook page, and this is the one that you guys voted that you wanted to see. So let's get to it. First of all, this is my good friend Haley S. Cosplay, and shot this at OhioCon this past year, 2015. And she had some of these pretty awesome leggings that she's modeling. She got sent those, and we always do some pictures and stuff like that whenever she models for stuff and sends them back for promo pieces, which is pretty cool. So, okay, this is the final piece, and this is shot in my normal, kind of dark background style, yada, yada, yada. The reason I shoot that style, I'll show you guys real quick. Dragging the exposure slider. You see all these different people in the background. So that's the reason I kind of started doing that. It's worked well. Still kind of evolving my style and stuff like that, but that's the reason I do that. So we're going to Control Z to go back to where we were before. Like I said, this is the finished product. I'm going to go ahead and hit reset down here to show you guys what it was to begin with. So quite a difference. What we're going to do is go ahead and start working on this, and we want to, first of all, as you guys know, it's really dark. And we can go over here under the Develop option in Lightroom. I should mention I'm using Lightroom 5. Under the Develop tab, which is where I do almost all of my work, I'm going to go underneath there and go ahead and move over here to the Exposure tool. Now the exposure, all these things right here are going to be what we call global edits, which applies to the entire image. So you guys can see as we bump this up, we start seeing more of her, but we also start seeing more of them. So we don't really want to do that quite as much, and you really have to be careful doing that, because then you'll start noticing some noise in your images and some stuff that you didn't really notice what was there will start really coming out. So let's go ahead and put this back to 0, and as you guys can see, you can either move your slider by selecting it, or I'm a little bit more OCD than that, and I like even numbers, so you can click the number over here and type it in. So let's go ahead and start with doing 1 for exposure, and I usually do about 15 or 20 for contrast. All the rest of this stuff looks okay for now. Bump the clarity up to about 20 or so. And I'll do another tutorial at a later date that explains fully what each one of these does and stuff like that. This is just kind of a quick tips to get you going. And what we're going to grab is the radial filter tool, which is new to Lightroom 5, and I really enjoy using it. I like it a little bit more than the adjustment brush, because with the radial filter tool, let's go ahead and grab it, and we'll select our preset. And these right here are the standard presets up top, and from here down are the custom presets that I've kind of made for myself. Once you find something that you like, that you find yourself using over and over and over, you can save current setting as a new preset. And if you guys want to, I can do a quick tutorial on how to do that. It's pretty easy, but I mean, just something quick to walk through it. So TPD radial filter is the one that I'm going to use, and you guys will not have this one, but I'll show you the settings. And that's the Portrait Dude radial filter. And exposure, I almost always bump everything up 1 full stop. Contrast 20, shadows 10, clarity 25, saturation 10, and then sharpness 25. So what that means is it's going to make sure invert mask is checked down here. You guys could go ahead and put that in there, and put your feather to 50. And what that's going to do is make sure if you do not have your feather on 50, it's going to have a really hard edge wherever you select it. But feather 50 kind of gives it an assurance that it's going to fade from the effect that we put in there towards the effect that it already has normally. So go ahead and do that. You want to select in the middle of where you want the effect to be. So let's go ahead and select around our midriff here. And as you can see, it's applying this effect inside of the oval as we drag it out. So we can squash it, stretch it up and down, and let's go ahead and make that pretty much the majority of her body here. Whenever you do that, it'll change to a hand. You can drag it wherever you want to, and that right there is pretty much one of the main reasons that I like this a little bit better than the adjustment brushes for doing the rough work, kind of getting the majority of things in. I'll do probably 3/4 of my stuff in like this, and then go back with the adjustment brushes and kind of go around the edges and get what I need, because it does pretty much the same thing. Only I like this a lot better for large pieces of the project. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm liking the way that's looking. And if you double click inside of it, it will say, okay, good with that one, and on to the next one. Or you can click radial filter again, and it will show you all these little thumbtacks here, the little things right there. You single left click on those, and it'll bring up all your settings and stuff. So let's go ahead and bump that up to about 1.5, and that's looking better. So we're getting her into closer to where we want it. Let's go ahead and grab another radial filter. Now, something you need to be careful of with your radial filters is to understand that these stack on top of one another. So if we do another one up here, look at how light she gets. So you really have to be careful of that if you use them near each other, so where they're overlapping. So we don't want this here. We want to move this down to cover her lower legs. Okay, that's pretty good, because like I said, this is for the tights and stuff like that, and we really want to showcase those and make sure that those look nice, got some good contrast to them, and aren't all blown out, and that they're properly exposed. So that looks good. And her feet are pretty dark down here as well as the ground, so what we'll do is radial filter, same settings there. Grab it here, and we'll stretch it out into a oval around her feet. Give it a little bit more of a spotlight look. Okay, now as you guys can see, she's looking a good bit different here, looking pretty good. And because she's wearing a dark jacket, I should have had a kicker light over here to kind of put a nice crisp edge around the edge, but I did not. Stupid me. So there's no easy way to fake that. So what we're going to do is to just go ahead and grab our adjustment brush tool over here instead, and do the same radial filter setting that I had before. Like I said, you guys aren't going to have this particular setting. It'll probably say custom for you, but you can save it as your own custom setting and name whatever you want to by going down here to save current settings as new preset, and that way it'll be ready for you whenever you want to use it, or you can just type them in manually, either or. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's go ahead and use the left bracket key, which is just to the right of the P key on your keyboard. That'll make the brush size smaller. Using the right bracket will make it bigger. So let's go ahead and do that, make it a little bit smaller. And we're going to hit fill. Yeah, let's go ahead and click up here by navigator, click on fill, and that'll zoom in to where it fills the screen. And we're going to go ahead and select our adjustment brush and start painting right around the edge of her arm here. And something you guys will notice is you can kind of sort of barely see people in the background here. We'll deal with them here in a little bit. So once you get that done, and that's what that is doing, is that it's just painting this effect where we are, where we're putting this here. So once you let go, it'll show you a little tack right there again. You click it, and that shows you where you have painted, which is pretty darn handy. So let's go ahead and do that. Bump the exposure up to 1.5, and watch her jacket right here, guys. Right where we've painted. I'm going to change. Let's start changing stuff around. Bump it up to 2. Oop. See, if we go 4, it only changes the area that we've painted there. So if we go 2, it still looks a little alright. Let's go ahead and go back to 1.5. I like that, because I know we're going to be doing some stuff here in just a second. So alright, let's go ahead and leave it at 1.5. Everything else looks alright. The tights look good. Down here looks good. And let's get that face and hair. The hair is going to be not a little bit of a problem, but we're just going to need to put a little bit of TLC on it. Make sure it pops real good, because I know Haley colored it just for OhioCon, and it looks awesome. So we're going to go ahead and do a radial filter up here on her head, and as you notice, her face is way too bright. So let's go ahead and bump that down. 0.75, maybe 0.5. Okay, and a quick way that you can select what it would look like without the specific tool that you have, if you want to turn those off, like for radial filter, right down here to the left of reset and close, you can turn off radial filter, and you do that, and it shows you what it looks like without any of the radial filters that you've put in, and turn them back on that way. So we're going to go ahead and do another one of these, double click, grab another one here, and we're going to put that on her hair, and only her hair. So let's go ahead and make a small one. Kind of drag that in just a little bit. Make sure you don't get a whole bunch of her face, because otherwise, like I said, they do stack, and you will notice a big shine here if you do it wrong. And we've got the hair down here on the side. Go ahead and grab that. And got those crazy contact lenses from Samhain Contacts on Facebook. Okay, that looks pretty good. And if you guys notice, as we're doing this, we're getting a slight halo effect around her head. You really want to watch that. So if you notice that, there's a couple things that you can do. You can go back into your filter, select it, and then squash it in just a little bit and move it in. And as you can see, that's not nearly as bad there. So, okay, that looks pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and hit fit. That's going to fit us this way. And remember, we can see, like I said, we can still kind of see those people over here. We want to make sure that we don't see those. So on this particular image, this isn't going to be applicable for everything, but on this particular image, what we're going to do is go ahead and go radial filter again. I told you guys I love this thing. And go ahead and go exposure -2. And just go ahead and drag a void around there. Since it's already dark, it won't really be that distinguishable. But it's just kind of, since there's enough people in there that's just barely grabbing enough light, it kind of almost halfway catches your eye. This will just keep it from doing that. So let's go ahead and do that. And go ahead and do that. Okay, and then, yep. And then that way, even if we pump it up a little bit, we still can't see the people. So that looks looking good. And again, whenever you click off of your tools and stuff, the exposures and contrast and stuff like that you see is global. So that's affecting everything. If I put, let's say, one more exposure, it's going to stack on top of the filters and everything that I already have there. So I've already got it on 1. Let's put it on 2. And see how she brightens up, this brightens up, and it really kind of gives that blown out look. We definitely don't want that. So let's go ahead and put that back to there. That's looking pretty good. And I may bump this up just a little bit more. Yep, that looks good. Okay, and something else you're going to notice is a bunch of these green lights in the background. Not really a big fan of those. So let's go ahead and use the spot removal tool. And I've got it set for, let me see, I'm going to bump that up a little bit. This is the same deal. Left bracket will make it smaller. Right bracket will make it bigger. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you've got a little bit of a feather going on. That's a little bit of a stronger feather than what I want. Let's go ahead and do feather of 75. Opacity of, let's go ahead and do 70 or 100. And the size will be based on what you need. So let's make it a little bit smaller here and grab this. And what this tool does is whenever you select a certain area, it will kind of analyze what's around it and pick another area that is close. Most of the time it works pretty good. Sometimes it just goes completely stupid and I have no clue why. So go ahead and do that. If it picks something that looks good, leave it. If not, you can select the second circle that it did and drag it around to a more pleasing location. This is really handy whenever you have grids or lines that you have to match up to. You can do that fairly easily, and I'm sure you guys will be seeing a lot of that because I use it a lot. So be watching out for this one in my tutorials and stuff. You'll be seeing a lot of how to do that with more complex shapes later. With black, it's pretty easy. So let's go ahead and click that. Do there. This, another one there. Come on, computer. Oh, see, that's what I was talking about. Every now and then it picks something crazy. So let's go ahead and grab this. And even though it's still black, I like to keep it a little bit closer than what it was. And this one right here, it picked a spot that didn't remove that. So let's go ahead and grab that and drag it up. Yep, that looks better. And drag you over here. Okay, and something else that's really handy about the spot removal tool, I'll make this a little bit smaller to show you guys, is instead of just single clicking, you can also click hold and drag, which is really helpful for taking out telephone poles, small, like say tripod legs. I use it for tripod legs all the time because every now and then you'll get one that accidentally shows up in your shot. And as you guys know, Lightroom is not particularly good about having stuff in there to help you remove things. That's actually one of the only things that I still use Photoshop for, is the content aware removal stuff. So let's go ahead and do this. And what we're going to do, once my computer unlocks up here, there we go. So we're going to go ahead and drag around that area. You'll notice the white area masking off there to let you know what you're doing. And that also means that it's going to need an area that big to find. So keep that in mind whenever you are doing something, thinking, oh wow, I can select all this stuff and it'll go away. Well, yeah, but it may have a hard time finding an area as big as you need it to. So just kind of use it not hesitantly, carefully. Be careful about how you use it, and you know, just kind of don't go crazy with it, because it can mess things up. But you know, the good thing about Lightroom is everything is non-destructive. All the edits that you're doing isn't actually changing the file itself. It's keeping track of all the changes and stuff like that. If at any time you're like, crap, I don't like this, I've messed things up, I don't want to go back, let's go down here, lower right hand corner, hit reset, boom, you're back to your original. So that's one of my favorite things that I like about Lightroom. And hit Control Z to undo that, and we're back where we started. So don't worry about messing things up, messing up your file and stuff like that in Lightroom, because it's non-destructive. So this one's getting a little bit close to her, so I'm going to zoom in here. And I do that by using the Z key. And as you guys can see up here next to Navigator, it goes to 1:1, which is pretty good for zooming in and doing detail work and stuff. And once I'm there, use my little hand to move around. So let's go ahead and do that. And we will get the last of this right here, just because those green lights drive me nuts. And go ahead and do that. And then we'll think about it. Okay, that'll work. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and, you know, once you're done, like I said, you can click the radial filter button over here on the right, and it'll show you all the pins that we have. So let's go ahead and check these again, just to make sure. That's the hair right there. That's the hair. That's dimming down the sides. That one right there is just the general body. It's a little bit more on the legs. A little bit of halo light on there. And let's go ahead and bump this up a quarter of a stop, just a little bit more light in the face. And like I said, watch out for the halo effect around her head here, if you guys can notice that. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Squashing this in just a little bit. There we go. And let me go ahead and turn this up here, and you guys can see in the background we've got these really cool windows and stuff back here. And I'd kind of like to get a little bit of those in there, but not a huge amount. So let's go ahead and put this back to 1.0. And going to grab another radial filter. Bump that over here. And like I said, make sure as you're doing this, it doesn't really encroach on her too much, because it will stack. So I'm going to put that +2, +3. Okay, and as you guys can see, it's really bringing out the background. I would not recommend doing a +3 on most things, but this is just kind of the background. It's not anything really. I know this isn't going to be used for print or anything for like that. This is just kind of something to do for the modeling stuff. It's only going to be web res, so I'm not really worried about that too much. But just go ahead and do that, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Drag that like that. +3. I actually think +3 is a little too much. Let's go ahead and go +2 on that. And you guys see all the crazy support beams and rafters and stuff like that, which is really really pretty cool. I really enjoy shooting up at OhioCon, which is also the same location as MatsuroCon. And this room, the atrium, is a favorite of a lot of photographers. The only bad thing is there's a ton, I mean like a metric crap ton of people around there. So you really have to find a way to shoot around them, find spots that other people aren't seeing or aren't using, and or just in this case shoot where you can, put the light where you want to, and off you go. So okay, well, I think that's pretty good for right now. I think that's the end of the tutorial too. So thank you guys very much. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and check me out on Facebook at The Portrait Dude Cosplay, and check me out on my website, theportraitdude.com. I'll be having lots of new tutorials and stuff like that coming up here in the coming weeks, so check it out, and let me know what you guys would like to see. Leave it in the comments down below. I'd really like to hear back from you guys, so thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate it. Peace out, guys. Later.